Hey guys, good morning. This is Jason Flame, host of the Master Motivation Podcast, back with another amazing guest today who will provide motivation, inspiration, and education. And let me go ahead and introduce him right away. This is Kru Shawn Yacoubian, who began his martial arts journey at just 15 years old, first training under Vince Murdocco, before moving on to the legendary Jet Center with Benny the Jet Urquidez. There, he sharpened his skills in karate, kickboxing, and boxing before fully embracing Muay Thai. His path led him to the House of Champions, where he trained extensively with icons like Peter Sugarfoot Cunningham, Rick O'Kane, and Kru Nokweed Sriampai, building a versatile and dynamic fighting style. Shawn has traveled the globe, training in Thailand and Holland, and even competing professionally overseas. Today, his greatest passion is sharing his knowledge, guiding his students to reach their goals and transform their lives through martial arts. Shawn, thanks for being on the show today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning. Hey, it's awesome to have you on the show, and we've got a lot of connections over the years. I've had Mark Parra on the show, a good friend of mine. I know Aaron Lawrence grew up with Bryce Pappenbrook, who came through the Dennis Ichikawa system of Tong Sudo in Tarzana. So a lot of connections. As a matter of fact, I brought my son to you for a tryout for kickboxing. He thought he wanted to be a full contact fighter. Learned a good lesson that day. But yeah, it's just great to have you on the show, and I'm excited to share your story and share your experience. But let's give a quick shout out. We got Miss Roseanne Azatat watching, who was also a guest on Master Motivation. She was excited to see you on the show today. So thank you, Roseanne, for checking in and saying hi. So what's going on in your life, and what's going on this week for you?
This week, we're toward the end of the week, but I've actually started competing in jiu-jitsu and taking jiu-jitsu for the last year and a half. So I just been training at Jean-Jacques and with Mark Morales in Simi Valley, and my business partner Luis Reyes at King's Combat. So I've been pretty much doing that while I get my body back acclimated to doing striking again, coming back from injuries and just off time. Yeah.
But
as far as the academy, we have some fights coming up. We have quite a number of fighters on an amateur level that we keep busy, and we got some dates coming up as well locally.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I love, I don't know, we seem to have started kind of our journey in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the same time. I started roughly a year ago training with Sergio Machado out of Chatsworth Karate with Mr. Mark Cox. And, Jiu-Jitsu is a different animal altogether, right? I mean, you grew up in kind of one, I don't want to say one dimension, but, a striking art, and now incorporating jiu-jitsu. How has that changed your mindset? How has that changed just your method of training?
Yeah. When I first started, everything was striking based, just on your feet. And throughout the years, I think when I started around 14 doing martial arts, karate, I did boxing, kickboxing. And then when I started fighting, that's when I started to transition into Muay Thai. And but I've always had my eye on wrestling and jiu-jitsu, just never got around to doing it, except when a lot of things just fell into place. Mark Morales hooked me up with a affiliate program with Jean-Jacques. They do it once a year. My business partner, Luis Reyes, is a black belt under Machado. He's actually the very first, to what I know, he's the very first affiliate of Jean-Jacques, who actually started teaching out of a garage, I believe. So he's come a long way. And so I started training with Luis just so he could show me. But it was very, very difficult, I can say. With striking, you're already on your feet. You know that you know what you're doing, kind of, because you're throwing your hands and feet, and you're defending against hands and feet. So you kind of know what's going on. In jiu-jitsu, it's quite the learning curve, and you do need mobility and flexibility and all that stuff in order to even play the game.
Yeah, it's a different game altogether, but the best part is it kind of brings everything all together to be the most well-rounded fighter or most well-rounded practitioner, to be able to, work on your feet, work the wrestling, work the ground game, and just have all aspects. I train in Ketsugo Jiu-Jitsu, which is a Japanese system of Jiu-Jitsu. Did a lot more stand-up joint locks and stuff, kind of an Aiki Jiu-Jitsu system.
Hmm.
We started to kind of bridge into that ground game and start working a lot of ground defense. Did that for about 10 years, but then 10 more years went by where I kind of didn't really focus on that. We did a
Yeah,
lot of sport karate, or we did a lot of performance, extreme martial arts. So, like you, it just kind of it just didn't really hit the radar until all my buddies, everybody I train with in Krav Maga, they start training in jiu-jitsu. And of course, somehow I'm always the last one to jump on to jump in. I don't know why,
yeah,
because I know for myself, well, when it came to Krav Maga, I was one of the last people in our group to jump in, because I was like, man, if I do this, I have to really do it. I like have to go
yeah,
all in, because I can't just like put my toes in the water and just test it out. It's got to be all in. And the same thing what for me with jujitsu was, man, if I start this, like this is just martial arts is a lifetime journey, right? But like if I
yeah,
start this new system of training, like I can't just half-ass it. I gotta go all in. So made that decision about a year ago, and here I am. But let's
yeah.
back up a little bit and let's talk about your origin story. Let's talk about your martial arts journey. You started martial arts at 15.
Hmm.
What drew you to step onto the mat for the first time? And did you ever imagine it would shape your entire life?
When I started martial arts, my parents were great supporters from the very beginning. They were the ones who introduced me to Vince Murdocco. I had a talk with Vince at the beginning. He told me about kickboxing, and I kind of brushed it off. And then he showed me a couple moves, and then I was sold. And then I started training with him. There was a time I had my driver's license, and it was suspended from like speeding tickets and such. And I would still find a way to go get to the Jet Center by bus or whatever. And being in that atmosphere with Benny the Jet Urquidez, Peter Cunningham, and all the other fighters that came out from that gym, I was just a stupid young punk kid, and I loved the atmosphere. So I watched everything, and I basically I was uh, I was in it every day. I would take Sensei Lily's class, which is Benny Urquidez's sister, and then I was able to take Peter's class after I was, promoted, I guess. Um, so growing up watching everybody, and a funny story, like I said, I used to see a lot of people, celebrities, fighters from all over the world, compete, because that was like the mecca of a training center. I believe the only gyms at that time that were around was the Muay Thai Academy on Vineland and Van Owen, and then there was Tengu's Boxing right down the street, and that's all I knew at the time. I think this was like 1992 or something like that. So growing up, I watched everybody spar. I was able to see my very first fight, like a live fight in person. When was it? I went to watch Danny Steele somewhere in Inglewood, and he was fighting. I don't even remember, but that was a very exciting time. He was being trained by Benny the Jet, so I was already in there. And then when the Jet Center closed down a little bit after the earthquake, what year was that? I forget.
I think it was
94 or something.
94.
Yeah. So then I took off like about 6 months, and then I there was no internet at the time, so I had to like ask And through word of mouth, I was able to find that Benny Urquidez opened up on Laurel Canyon and Victory, and my parents had actually paid for, I think it was like a lifetime membership. Back then, it was like $4,000 or something like that. So I had credit with him. I went over there, and then when I went to his gym, I was like, "Hey, what day are the classes? This, that." And then I remember, like I'm training with Peter all the time, so I'm like, "Where's Peter?" And he's like, "Oh, he's with Mark Parra." And they opened up a gym called House of Champions. So then that's when I went over there, and Peter was there, Rick was there, and it was a very small gym. And back when I first started, like I said, I was a punk kid. I didn't know anybody. I would just be there training as much as I could. Now that I knew them, I kind of had seniority in this brand new gym, and everything was fight based. It wasn't just cardio or fitness or anything. So I kind of liked that, and I liked the competition of it, but I never thought about fighting. So I think when Peter had his last fight, and he retired, they were trying to like bring up the next generation, and I was just asked if I wanted to fight, and I said, "What do I have to do?" You know what I'm saying? So that's basically how it started. I said yes, and I was like, "Hey, I've been doing this a while now. I kind of know my what to do, so why not?" And then that's how it started.
Wow, very cool, very cool. Well, you know that I had Mark Parra on the show before, and
Yes.
we talked a lot about Pete Cunningham.
Yeah.
He was someone who, I'm an '80s kid, so I grew up watching all those '80s movies, and there's a lot of focus on kickboxing, the late '80s, early '90s, and seeing Peter Cunningham on screen, but also I remember, and I told him the story that I was a teenager. I didn't have a credit card. I had to go to my grandpa and ask him to purchase a ticket to go see fights in Las Vegas. And on
Yeah.
that card was Dennis Alexio, Kathy Long, Peter
Yeah.
Cunningham, Stan the Man, like all these big names at that time. I was so enamored by watching kickboxing at that time. I just absolutely loved it. And so,
Yeah.
as I've asked Mark before, and I'm going to ask you again, would love to get the connection to get Peter on the show and
Definitely.
interview him as well. But it seems like again, a lot of the people in that same circle, we had a lot of crossover. The late Steve Clark also trained at the Jet Center, and Tiffany Wing. These are black belts that I grew up with in my school. Aaron Lawrence, Bryce Pappenbrook, all came
Yeah.
out of our Tong Show system who kind of
Right.
switched over. And then, Jim Mullins was teaching over at Tiffany Wing School in Simi Valley for a while. So there was just a lot of this crossover and a lot of kickboxing. And it was such an exciting time, and I'm sure it still is such an exciting time. It's just a new
Yeah.
a new generation. But you trained at the Jet Center, right? And
Yeah.
under the legend Benny the Jet Urquidez. What was that experience like, and what lessons stuck with you the most?
Unfortunately, I never got to train with actually Mr. Yukidis.
Oh, so you didn't train
um,
with him?
no, no, no. I never had the chance because it was it was his sister, Lily Urquidez. I would take her classes. I would
Hmm.
also do private lessons with Craig Bray, which is he has brother. His brother is or was an amateur world champion and went pro, and the other brother he's in choreography in movies and such. I was training with him a lot while it was at the Jet Center, but I was taking the classes with Sensei Lily, and then I went to Peter's class right after. And funny story, Peter at the time was really, really strict. I liked it, but I was the youngest, I was the smallest, and I was probably the weakest in the class. And I remember the hardwood floors and all the blisters. I remember all the ass whoopings, especially being short. It's not great. And I'll never forget. there was a couple people who were really taller, like a lot taller than me. And at the time, I didn't know how to defend against it. They would just put their arm out on my forehead, and I couldn't get past it. It was so nerve wracking. But after a while, you get to learn and you get better and such. But yeah, I never got to train with them, unfortunately. But what was the funny story? I forgot. What were we talking about?
We're just talking about training at the Jet Center
Oh, yeah,
itself,
yeah,
and,
okay,
and,
okay.
and
I
just the
remember. I
experience.
remember. Yeah. So then basically, yeah, I was in Peter's class. He was very strict, and I was having a lot of bad days. I was just getting whooped on left and right. And I've always been tough. It's just in my Armenian blood, I guess you could say. But I would take a lot of whoopings, and it was quite like, again, like it's a learning curve. Some people pick it up right away. Some people, it'll take some time. But he actually demoted me, and he basically called me up in the front of the class. He basically yelled at me, and he basically demoted me. So I had to go back to Sensei Lily's class. I don't even know for how long, and I had to work my way back up. And I remember crying because it was so harsh. But I really value that kind of strictness, because it's about, and this is where I'm pretty strict myself, because the thing is, I want people to get to their goals. Like, if you say that you want to get to a goal, you got to be ready for everything that comes with that goal. So I've kind of engulfed myself into jujitsu with the same kind of mindset. I just shut my mouth, and I'm there, and I'm there as many times as I can train. That's possible, And I just I take all the whoopings, and I learn from them. I don't veer away from or steer away from anything, because I understand the process. But a lot of people don't understand the process of it. And then there's also levels to this, like, how much of a competitor are you? Are you an actual competitor? Are you a hobbyist? And there's people who are hobbyists that really are very competitive as well. They might not compete on the stage, but being in the gym, it's pretty much a fight for them. So with that being said, like, I understand the process, and I just, like I said, I just close my mouth, and I just keep working away, because I know one day I'm gonna learn everything that I'm getting. That's being used on me. It happened in Muay Thai. It happened it's happening now in Jiu-Jitsu. I'm barely understanding the concept of position before submission. So there's still a lot more to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's talk a little bit real quick about that old school mentality you're talking about with Petey. I mean, that's something that could you imagine in 2025 doing that in your school, and how different that would look? Or at least I believe that would look so different now. I think that kids would quit immediately. I think parents would
Yeah.
be like, they couldn't even handle that. But how do you balance that old school mentality with kind of this new school? I'm going to call it for what it is, a little bit of softness.
Yeah.
How do you balance that in your school and in your training sessions?
Yeah, you know what? For those that know me, they know I am strict, but the strictness comes in when you come to me and you say, "This is what I want." I need to make it so you reach your goal. That's it. Along the way, sometimes, like, what I've learned is people just talk, and they don't want it as much as they say, and that's a learning curve for me, because I'm not that type of person. If I say I'm going to do something, I go through. I'll do it no matter what.
Right.
So that's something that I had to learn. But to answer your question, it really depends on the person. I don't get strict right away. We build a rapport. We start making goals, and then most of the time, I would say 98% of the time, everything works out. But some people do drop off. Some people do disappoint. But that's just a learning experience for both parties.
Yeah.
But in
I
the
think
end, I do everything I do because I know what it takes to reach the goal. And so I just want to expedite that process, if anything.
I
Yeah.
think the rapport and the relationship is the important part, right?
Yeah.
Because once you have that rapport and you have that relationship and you have that trust, and specifically with parents when it comes to training their kids, young
Yeah.
kids, once you have their trust, I mean, I have some parents that tell me like, I want you to be harder. You can be, they kind of give me
Yeah.
permission,
Yeah.
if you will, but
Of
it's
course.
something that we have to kind of learn to understand. Like you said, what are their goals? I know whatever their goals are, we've been doing this a long time in martial arts. Whatever your goals are, we have a path to that goal. We
Yeah.
know how to get there. I tell the parents, trust the professionals, trust the instructors that know how to get your child to where you want them to go. They may not always understand the process, like you mentioned, but sooner or later they begin to trust you and believe in the vision and can follow without too much pushback, right? I mean,
Of course.
I remember growing up and I had instructors that literally would, kick us while we were in a stance or use a stick to check if we were tight,
Yeah.
things like that. I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm not doing those things anymore. I may
Of
have
course.
done it in the beginning because that's all I knew. But
Right.
I think that there is a way that we can still have discipline, right? And you can be strict.
Yeah.
I think those things are important. I think that our young kids need that anyway. But I think it's all in the presentation and it's all in the relationship that we have with the parents.
Yeah, of course. And then when I say I'm strict, I'm strict overall, but at the same time, I don't go overboard unless you're a fighter or unless we're working toward a personal goal.
Yep.
Some people are not fighters and they have a personal goal, and I'm like, hey, let's get it, let's make it. Again, going back to jujitsu, I have my own personal goals, so I'm kind of gauging myself every day. Every day when I learn, it's been really, really tough. And like I said, I don't care because I understand the process and I embrace it. And I know for a fact it's not going to be like that all the time. Regardless of how slow the process is, it's gonna be it's positive. There's no I don't know. I mean, there have been days of regression, but I believe after a certain period of knowledge, those days are going to be gone. You know, um, I did even have days of regression, like when I would spar. I had a lot of bad days, and I would be like, "What the hell? Like, do I suck?" Like, it's kind of like basically mind games. But uh, all in all, if you're working with the right people, knowledgeable, you will learn. That's just how it is, and you actually have to put in to get out. There's no getting around it. Some people are more athletic than others. Some people are they grasp on it more than others. But in the end, competition, as far as real competition, is based on a lot of factors. You could be the best. You could have the best form. You could be the smartest. But if you can't physically perform, it doesn't translate as much.
Yep.
So like for striking, you could have really good form, you could have a lot of great instruction. If you don't have the heart, if you don't have the grit, it's going to be harder to get through, because in competition there is going to be that moment where the tables are turning on you and you're not the aggressor. You're basically, you're not the hammer, you're the nail, and you need to figure it out. you
Yep.
need to you need to get past it. And more importantly, a lot of things that I train, and I even do it to myself, I put myself in very uncomfortable situations, um, because you just need to be disciplined in that way. You need to work through it. Like, for example, I don't know, um, like when you're in a sauna and you're already depleted, you stay an extra 10 minutes or something like that. Just stuff like that. You kind of like you do these things like it's a mental thing, so you can stay strong
Yeah.
and not break.
100%.
Yeah.
Mindset is so important. And shout out to Mr. Cox. Mark Cox is watching and said hey to you. And he was talking about, jujitsu is a mother blank. And it's like you say what our coach says a lot. You know, sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. Um, I feel like I'm the nail a lot, especially in jiu-jitsu right now, just getting beat up and choked out. But like, and I keep asking myself, why do I go back? I'm getting beat every week. Why do I go back? And for me, it's because, like you said, I know, I trust the process. I know that if I keep going back, I'm getting better. If I keep going back, I'm proving my discipline. If I keep going back, I'm showing that I still have the heart. If I keep going back, you know what I mean? And that's what a lot of kids struggle with is the going back. And they have parents who allow them to say, "Oh, you're having a hard day. It's okay. Take a day off." You know,
Yeah.
instead of, "No, get in the car, we're
Yeah.
going to
Push through.
class,"
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and push through. Because, you know, I've never had a black belt ever once that got to black belt and said, "I regret earning my black belt." And I've never once had a parent say, "Man, I wish I would have just let my kid quit." You know, and like never,
Yeah.
ever would that happen. On the flip side, I often have people that come up to me and say, "You know, I would have, if I would have kept training, I would have been a black belt, or I would have been a second, third degree, whatever." And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, but you quit, you know, you
Yeah.
stopped, you didn't go back. And it takes a lot of heart, and it takes the right mindset. I'm fortunate that, you know, martial arts has been part of my life since I was 10 years old. You know, I just really don't know any different anymore that way. But there's still the
Yeah.
days that I struggle. There's still days that man, I'm hurting. Why am I doing this? And that's it. And then
Yeah.
when I ask myself that question, why, when I answer the question, I immediately flip that mindset and go, okay, whole new ball game, you know, moving on, right?
Yeah. Right. Right.
Let's take a quick break. I said we were going to do it at the 20-minute mark, but I got to give a quick shout out to one of our sponsors. Take a look, guys. This is Raptor Extreme Karate. All right, that was Raptor Extreme Karate. My good friend Kevin Kowalczyk. You know what I love about Kevin is not only does he have this performance training program, Raptor Extreme Karate, but Kevin's
Hmm.
actually fought in karate combat and has done some full contact fighting. So I love to see that blend
Yeah.
of having both sides of the coin. So
Yeah.
guys,
That's
we're
cool.
back, and I'm Jason Flame, host of Master Motivation Podcast with Shawn Yacoubian from Yacoubian Muay Thai Academy. And guys, we've been talking a lot about, we talked about the Jet Center, training with Peter Cunningham. Shawn started at 15 years old. We just finished kind of having a discussion about the mindset of martial arts and just that toughness and grit that helps us get through and battle our obstacles in life. But let's talk about, what was your toughest fight or sparring experience of your career, and how did that push you mentally or physically?
Uh, my sparring experience, we can talk about that. Yeah. Uh, Six-time world champion Danny Steele. And yeah, there's been a lot of debate about hard sparring, light sparring, technical, this, that. I believe you need everything. There's a time and place for everything. You need to be tested to some extent while you're in the gym preparing for competition. Um, yeah, back when I was training, everything was kind of like it's very different. Like when you go to Thailand, everything's very technical. you train in Holland, everything's hard. I'm good with both. But I was very fortunate enough to have a sparring partner, training partner, Danny Steele. At the time, he was a 6-time world champion. Was said to be one of the toughest men on the planet in the sport of Muay Thai. I started sparring with him, and at the very beginning, it was I would go home with welts on the back of my ear. My body was hurt, but I valued every single second of it. Great guy, great champion. Learned a lot, but that's we would have all kinds of hard sparring sessions. I posted a couple on YouTube, and I guess you can find that somewhere somehow. But yeah, that was one of my toughest sparring sessions. But as far as tough like sparring sessions, like basically, like clinching, the clinching sessions would be as tough, but without the bruises and all that stuff. It's really grueling. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how would you say that that pushed you mentally or physically? How did that change your training?
Yeah, going back into competition, you're always either going to be the hammer or the nail. It might rally back and forth. So that's how it did. That's what it did for me.
Mm-hmm. After years of training and competing, your passion is now teaching. What's the most rewarding part about passing on your knowledge to your students?
Seeing people that I work with accomplish their goals. I'm really big on that. I really want to be known for somebody helping somebody else out to reach their goal.
And who are the people you've mentioned some names already, but for those people that maybe missed the beginning of this talk, who are some people that really helped you push yourself to reach your goals? And what were your
Um,
goals?
my goals growing up, once I started fighting, that I just wanted to pursue it to as far as I can. And the people who helped me out was obviously my trainers, Peter Cunningham, Rico Kane, Nokweed Sriampai. I had a strength and conditioning coach, Jimmy Belowitz. Just everybody, like even my sparring partners, everybody had a hand in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Without your sparring partners, without your supporters, it's pretty much you wouldn't be able to reach any goals.
Absolutely. Hey, quick shout out, Emilio Ramon. Thank you so much for watching and checking in. By the way, if anybody is watching and you guys have questions for Shawn, something you'd like to know, please drop those questions in the comments and we can ask those questions as well. But I want to know, you've developed a versatile system from so many different influences. How do you balance honoring tradition with adapting martial arts for today's fighters and students?
I keep it real with everybody. Doesn't matter. So the thing about Muay Thai, the only difference is like Muay Thai is just basic punch, kick, knee, elbow, clinch, whatever. So the only difference between an actual, competitive fighter and that what we do is just there's levels to this stuff, But for the most part, we try to show everybody um, the right way to punch and kick and defend themselves. And the only difference would be like there are tricks of the trade once you get into amateur and pro level. But for the most part, it's just the levels are the conditioning, the tricks, all the nuances is what differentiates a pro from a hobbyist. Um, and with technical sparring, which is basically light sparring, you could have the best of both worlds. Um, you don't really see technical sparring boxing gyms. They go pretty much, they're known to go all out. I'm not sure if anything changed over the years. The only change I've seen at boxing gyms, they started having a combination workout instead of it being your basic jump rope, shadow box, bag work, mitt work, sparring. Now there's actual classes that incorporate strength and conditioning. But other than that, I'm not sure if they're doing technical sparring in boxing gyms. I think when you're in a boxing gym, every time I was in a boxing gym, it was an actual fight.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to my coach, Rico Kane, for taking me to all the top boxing gyms and getting, world class sparring. Because once you learn all the stuff, is it applicable? Are you really moving your head? Are you really blocking? Is it really working? You get to find out real fast. And again, whatever your goal is, it's either fun or you're kind of like, oh, I'm a little bit in too deep with this. I'm gonna go back to the gym and I'm good here.
Yeah. So tell me, as a traditional martial artist, and having a belt system in our school is a big motivator for especially young kids, but even for adults. The belt system is a huge motivator and a huge retention tool for us. How do you in your gym have some type of ranking system, and what do you think helps aid in retention long term?
We have levels. We don't have belts. We're still new at it as far as a ranking and such. That's something I do want to implement down the line. And we will. But in Muay Thai, it just said to it's just said that there's no real belt system. It's just that if you fight, that's your system. There's A, B, C class. So there's basically three classes. And but I believe I think the WBC is working on something, ranking system. But each gym has their own way of levels and ranking.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I'd like to implement that down the line.
Okay. And as a boxing kickboxing gym, how when people come to you and they want to learn self-defense, is that something that you incorporate, above and beyond now that you're training jiu-jitsu? Do you offer self-defense in your program, or are you strictly focused on, basically getting in the ring and having a fight?
Yeah, we focus on the sport of Muay Thai kickboxing, and we do have boxing classes. And like I said, I'm business partners with Luis Reyes, the owner of King's Combat Sports. They have Taekwondo and Jiu-Jitsu. I believe Jiu-Jitsu is available 7 days a week. So we offer our students an upgrade to adding that program as well.
Got it. Got it. So martial arts is as much mental as it is physical. What mindset or discipline habits do you believe make the biggest difference in life, and not just in the ring?
Habits, nutrition, physicality. You need to run, no matter what. Even if you're not fighting, it's a good. It's a great. It's great for cardiovascular. It clears your head. You need to, like, even though it's a physical sport, you need to be mentally there in order to do it, and in order to, just do better in that session.
Mm-hmm. And as far as individual goals, we talked about doing private lessons, private training. And what's kind of your specialty in where you like to hone in on?
Um, Whatever, like, mainly I'm a specialist in my craft. So if somebody wants to learn how to do Muay Thai, that's basically what the private sessions are based on. If they want to do it so they can build up to take an actual fight, just so they can have the experience, we do that as well. Some people that I train do it for fitness, knowledge, being uncomfortable and working through that. Yeah, there's a quite a few number of people that I train, and everybody has a different goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And how young do you start teaching?
We tend to start our kids class like around 6 years old, as long as they're able to take instruction. Because we only have one instructor per class, and you definitely know, kids are a lot harder to teach than adults. And there's different age groups, like, our kids classes from six to, like, let's say 13, because I say 13 because these days 13-year-olds are 6 feet, so we, we put them in the adult class
Yeah,
if
for
they're
sure.
mature enough. And then there's kids that are 10 years old and 6 feet tall, and they're not ready for the adult class.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And
so
and
it's like, mainly, as long as you're disciplined enough to just cooperate in the class, we'll take you. But we can't do babysitting or anything like that.
so if we start at 6, how many students do you have? That training, decades, right? Training, past that adulthood age. Do you find that people continue to do this for long periods of time?
Yeah, great question. So with the ranking system, you'll actually have people longer. Um, in I forget what the life expectancy of a student. I forgot what it is,
Hmm.
but we do have kids that have been there for a very long time, and people change down the line. Sometimes they just grow out of it. Sometimes they'll hone it and become. I remember Edmund Tervadian was training a guy named Edmund Shabazian. He's the UFC fighter. I remember him saying that he had him at his gym when he was a kid, and
Hmm.
he became, like, he's in the UFC. He's still fighting. So that's a great reward for a coach to actually see the person through from such a young age until where they're at now.
Right on. Well, I got to throw this one up here because this is kind of a cool comment, kind of a full circle moment. But Daniel Romero is on, and he said, "The man that got me started in martial arts, he and his dad and his mom all started with me way back in the day, interviewing you, the guy that got him started in Muay Thai." What do you remember about Daniel?
Oh, yeah, Daniel, right. I believe he's in Moore Park, right?
He's yep, right down the street from
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Yeah, it was great meeting Daniel. He was taking the classes, I believe, in the morning, because that's when his schedule permitted. But yeah, great guy.
Very cool. And then Roseanne is she's 61 this month. Sean's helping you keep up her skills, and I think that is that's awesome. I'm 51, so I hope in 10 years I'm
Cool.
still kicking just as hard and staying just as active. I mean, unless my body doesn't work, I know that I will be.
Yeah,
So that's a
right.
motivation for sure. Looking back, what was a pivotal moment in your martial arts journey that completely changed your path?
Um, well, two things. I thought I was gonna when I first started. I mean, when I started competing, I thought it was gonna be nonstop. I had to learn a lot of the things behind, or not everything was about fighting. It's about promotions. It's about matchmaking. It's about branding. That was a pivotal moment, because I was kind of like on a roll, and then all of a sudden there wasn't enough fights going on, and I was kind of shelved for a minute, and it was hard to get back on track. And then another pivotal moment was I didn't think I was gonna become an instructor, because this was my life, my go-to. But things happen, and that's the path I chose to take, and I'm having a great time doing it.
Yeah, I mean, going from a martial arts student or a fighter and then becoming a coach or an instructor is a pretty major shift for some people. Sometimes it's just a natural shift, but sometimes
Yeah.
it takes everybody takes a different road to get there. And then, the next step is having a location, having an academy, having a school. And I think all of these things, being a student and training takes a certain level of discipline and knowledge and commitment. But then becoming an instructor, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with being a coach and being a mentor to somebody else, which
Yeah.
means you got to keep up your training just as much. You got to keep pushing yourself to growing, because if you're teaching and your students don't have anything more from you to learn, they're going to move on. So that's always pushed me, is that as an instructor, I always wanted to have more to offer and more to provide them the example of where they can take their training. And then to be a school owner, an academy owner, and run the academy, and that's a major shift and a major change, because you may know martial arts, you may know Muay Thai, you may be a good coach, but then running that business takes a whole different level of skills, that now we have to invest our time and our resources in learning how to run that business better, how to be an employer if you have staff,
Yeah.
all the things, right? So what do you remember about kind of those shifts from student to instructor, from instructor to business owner? How was that for you?
Um, it's just, I don't know. Running a business has always been, in me. But I wouldn't have been able to do it if I wasn't surrounded by the right people. Everybody on the staff or who teaches, especially my business partner, Lewis, he allowed me to grow. That's a big deal, regarding, doing business and stuff. Business, like running a business, is unforgiving. So when you have like wiggle room, where everything is not like, how do I say this? Like, if you have some room to like make mistakes and everything, that's not going to crush you. That's a great place to be. So I partnered up with Kru Lewis, and he allowed me to take control of a lot of things, and I always involved him on all the decision making. And slowly but surely, I turned a lot of my old time students, old time meaning like everybody on the staff, we, like most people, 90% of the staff, they've actually been training with me. I've known Daniel since he was 15 years old. I know his family. I've known him from House of Champions. So I've known Daniel since he was 15. So I think that was around 2002, 2004 that I've known Daniel. uh, Robert, Christian, they've trained under me since 2012, I believe. Cheyenne, Anthony, they're they're around COVID time. They started training, but um, I make sure to like have the instructors coming from our lineage. Basically, we built them, and some of them didn't expect to be instructors. It just kind of happened, and they do it because it is rewarding, and it also helps them in their martial art journey. So I've been really blessed to have a lot of supporters and the right people around me to be where I'm at today, as far as running a business. And yes, it's definitely hard. Yes, I'm not perfect. Nothing's perfect. It's a continuous work in progress. So, um, but we just strive forward, and that's all we can do.
Yeah, I think our martial arts mindset helps us so much to have the right business mindset, because like you said, we're always learning, we're always growing, things are always evolving and changing. I mean, if you look back, you mentioned COVID, I don't know how it was for you, but for us, not being able to do stuff in person, or if you did, you were taking flack from from people that would complain that you weren't wearing masks, or all this stuff.
Yeah.
We were training on Zoom for a little while. I mean, it just made it tough. But the thing is it's just like weathering the storm in a fight. Weathering the storm, when you're in jiu-jitsu, if you can weather that storm, you come out so much stronger on the other end. And again, that mindset of martial arts that teaches us to do that helps us to not only survive, but to continue to thrive in our business as we move forward.
Yeah.
I, I,
Speaking of strength,
go ahead.
I want to give a shout out to my office managers, so
Yeah.
that's given me the strength and the opportunity to, Diane was our office manager, and now Late is. So having an office manager gives me a lot of free time to pursue training on a consistent basis instead of just getting it in 30 minutes a day or so. So that's really a big deal.
Well, like you said, having the right people around you and having the right team, I think that we can all agree in the martial arts industry that, growing our students from within to become instructors is typically the best possible scenario. Of course, I've seen other schools hire people from outside and be very
Yeah, of
successful and do well with that.
course. Yeah.
But growing students that kind of came up, like you said, in our lineage, they honor our traditions. They believe in the value. They see the vision. They are, walking billboards for what our school actually does and produce. So what better examples for the next generation of students? So, but having those people there allows you to train more, allows you to work on the business. Having an office manager or staff members that can take care of some of the things that free up your time so that you can be doing what's most important for you to be doing. Those are all important things, and not just in our martial arts schools, but any other business, right?
Yeah.
I have one more question for you. And guys, again, if you're watching live, if you have any questions and you want to ask Shawn, please ask those questions now. What's next for you and your students? Do you see yourself focusing more on building future fighters, expanding your program, or something entirely new? What do you see in the future?
Yeah, great question. When I started the brand or the academy, I was just taking it, step by step. Like if people want to come in and want to train and become a fighter and take it pro, I've always been open to that. But I just, I'm open to anything. We can make anything happen. There's a lot of platforms out there. Like I said, when I was fighting, there was only a few, and then you would have to go international. But now there's so many promotions. A one championship being huge, that would be great to have people fight on that level. But if anybody is interested and wants to do it, we'll make it happen. For people who come in for a hobby and they just want to learn, we can make that happen too. So going into the business, I never really thought about it. One of my other fighters was Robert Lemus. He fought for many years. He won a lot of belts. And then I had another kid named Attila. He's gotten into MMA now. So he started training with us, I think, or he started training, I believe, yeah, he started training with us in 2017. And up until like 2022, we got him a lot of amateur titles. We traveled, and it really depends. It takes two. I can't say like, hey, I want you to do this. The person needs to want to do it. It's a team effort, and a team meaning the entire fight team, not just the coach and the fighter, the entire fight team. But what I'm looking for the students, I'm looking to raise a new crop of fighters. I'm looking to keep our staff continuously competing as well. I believe competition is a great thing to keep everybody at their optimum. I did take years off, so I know it from not doing anything and engulfing myself. And it's always great to have a balance. As far as myself, I'm just going to continue training in jiu-jitsu and competing as I learn. I don't know. Like that's about it. I really don't know anything from anything, but I'm doing my best, and I don't want to wait until I know something to continue. I mean, to compete. I want to compete as I'm learning. I want to keep pushing myself. I want to get back to optimum health, so I could strike again. But right now, as far as like what's coming up for our fight team, again, we have some fights coming up. We have there's a Simi Valley Showdown hosted by the ISKA and Herman Baltazar, one of my training partners. He runs a t-shirt company called the Union Designs. They're on Instagram. He designs t-shirts. He gets them printed. So for people who are fighting and want their own shirt, he's a great source for you guys. But him and his partner Jordan, they're putting on a show in the Simi Valley Town Center along with Scrappy from Kid Gloves. They're going to be doing a point Muay Thai, point boxing competition on October 25th. Besides that, we have a guy fighting in the UNF October 11. There's some fights in November. I don't know. We have a lot of our stuff on Instagram. We post it on our stories daily, as well as the website. So
yeah, and you're pretty active on social media. Give everybody just kind of shout out your social media where people can find you and your website as well.
Yeah, website is ymtacademy.com. Social media, Instagram is Yacoubian Muay Thai, one word, YACOUBIAN MUAYTHAI. But as far as like learning, I constantly I send my guys to seminars. I have my guys go and work with legendary fighters every chance we get. We're getting ready to go to Thailand next year, January. So there's a lot of continuous learning going on.
Love it. Love it. Good stuff. Well, hey man, we're right at our hour mark today, and I appreciate your time. Appreciate you being on the show, sharing all about Yacoubian Muay Thai Academy, your story, your background, talking about your fighters and those people that inspired you and motivated you. I hope that everybody has enjoyed watching this, and do us a favor, share the video. Go to Master Motivation Podcast on YouTube and please subscribe. We've got a lot of great guests coming up over the next few weeks as we end the year, and I'm going to start booking 2026 very, very soon. And I hope one of those guests will be Peter Cunningham. So we'll talk about that, Sean.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being on the show. And guys, go and have a great weekend. We'll see you real soon. Take care.